The problem with the concept of power, the power of positive thinking, is people just think, oh, well, if I just have positive thoughts, then my life should be affected. And this is why positive thinking has a real bad rap in the public. And the reason is this: having a positive thought does not in any way necessitate that those positive thoughts actually manifest themselves. And there's a piece that was left out. And if you don't understand the piece, then you're shouting into the wind with your positive thoughts. Nothing's going to happen. And the fact is this: when you're having positive thoughts, you're using your mind. The new biology reveals that the invisible forces that collectively we refer to as mind, that these form a field which shape biology. Well, here's what's important. Yes, the mind influences biology, but there are two parts to the mind that are completely different than one another, yet they work together. We confuse them, we tie them together, and yet they represent two entities working in two different fashions. There's the conscious mind and what is called the subconscious mind. Now, here's what it's very important, people have to know this, okay, and here's what it is. The conscious mind is our creative mind that is connected to our personal identity and our spiritual selves. That makes us all unique. Each of us has our own personal conscious mind. But what becomes very significant is this: is the subconscious mind is equivalent to a tape player. It's exactly what it is. It records experiences and then plays them back. And so now let's take a look and say, well, wait, there's a thinking mind, and then there's a tape player mind. And what's different about them is very profound. So let's talk about two fundamental differences first. The tape player, the subconscious mind, as an information processor, as the equivalent of a computer, is 1,000,000 times more powerful an information processor than is the conscious mind. So when you look at the power between the conscious and subconscious is 1,000,000 times more powerful. Number two, on a day-by-day basis, the subconscious mind runs our biology about 95 to 99% of the time. So while you're having all these wonderful thoughts, that's not the conscious mind's not running the show, it's a subconscious mind. Then comes the issue is, well, the subconscious mind got programs in it. Yes, and the subconscious mind is not evil or good. The subconscious mind is a tape player. As much as you can say, okay, here's a tape player, it's good or bad. The tape player's not good or bad. The programs can be good and the programs can be bad. So blaming the subconscious mind as a negative thing that's the first mistake. It's a tape player. The programs that we got, that's the source of the problems that most of us face. And these programs could limit our abilities and take away our powers, which essentially they do. Now, the relevance about positive thinking is this. Positive thinking is a creative thought that comes from the conscious mind. Okay, so I sit here and I'm going to have all these wonderful thoughts. I'm going to close my eyes and visualize all these wonderful things. Now stop and go back to the mechanical character of it. I'm having these thoughts with a little tiny processor called the conscious mind, and I'm competing with the programs that are in the subconscious mind. So if I have a thought for being healthy or being in a good relationship, and I'm doing positive thinking, and at the same time, I have acquired programs in my development that said, you're not as healthy as you think you are, and you're not that good a person to have those kind of relationships. Then look, I'm now pitting my positive thoughts against my programs, and they're opposite. But this one works on a little tiny processor, and this processor is 1,000,000 times more powerful. So right away, it's like, who's going to win in that challenge? The answer, of course, the subconscious is going to win, okay? But here comes the other part. While I can try to maintain positive thoughts in my life using my conscious mind, this conscious mind only operates less than 5% of the day. That says 95% or more of the day, I'm operating from the other belief system. The point is, do the math. How powerful are positive thoughts? And the answer is, unless the subconscious has the same programs and agreement as the conscious mind, power of positive thinking will not work. It will not work because you're competing against a much more powerful processor. The belief that is taught is that biology in the world we live in operates according to Newtonian principles. Unfortunate part about that is quantum mechanics 100 years ago said that's obviously not true, and physicists know this is not true, and yet medicine doesn't buy into it because it still focuses on the material reality and lets go of the invisible shaping fields that quantum physics emphasizes as primary. Okay, so we have to change that belief system. We have to get people to recognize that the field and the thoughts and all these other things are as important as anything else in shaping the matter we live in. Number two, the belief which I blew away years ago, but it's still being taught in school, is the concept that genes control life. This is totally false. Genes control nothing. Control is an action. A gene is a blueprint. It's physically, literally a string with blueprint data on it. Why is that relevant? Well, it's interesting. Go to an architect's office, and the architect's working on a blueprint, and then lean over the architect's shoulder and say, is that blueprint on or off? And he looks at you, the blueprint's not on or off, it's a blueprint. Yeah, but we talk about genes being on and off, like genes are turning on and genes are turning off. And the question is, but genes are blueprints. They can't turn on and off. There is no on and off. It's just the blueprint. It's a pattern. What we have failed to focus on because we gave genes a character of self-actualization. That my genes decided to do something. It's like, okay, now we're a victim of the genes. But it turns out, biologists know that this is not true. Biologists know that genes are not turned on and off. Genes are read or not read, like blueprints. Then all of a sudden it says, well, it's not the blueprint that's important. If the blueprints were self-actualizing, an architect could go by a building site, drop the blueprints off, come back 2 weeks later, and the building will be there. That's what we think about animals and plants. The genes are blueprints and they'll control all this. It's like, no, the blueprints are important. I'm not saying they're not. You got the bad blueprints, you got some problems going on here. But the issue is, it's not the presence or absence of a blueprint, it's whether the blueprint is being read. And then you say, well, then who reads the blueprint? And the answer is a contractor. And who's the contractor? The mind is the contractor. The mind reads genes. The mind can change the genes readout. Here's something so blow away that most people can't in their conventional world make sense of it, because it's like, it goes like this. The mind, through what is called epigenetic mechanisms, can start with a single gene blueprint and create over 30,000 different versions of products from the same blueprint. 30,000 different products from the same blueprint. And all of a sudden you realize, my God, you can infinitely vary the expression of the gene. And the answer is yes. And why has this become relevant to all of us? And the answer is because many of us think genes control our lives. And yet we don't realize that we modify the readout of the gene. So we could be totally healthy and our mind can cause cancer. Our mind can cause any disease, diabetes, anything like that. And what's interesting is the flip side is some people come here with actually defective genes. And guess what? With their mind, they can rewrite those genes and make them normal. So the genes are not the limiting factor, it's the mind.